What's up, everybody? It is Zach of Dark Con Entertainment, and I just got done watching The Suicide Squad. That'd be The Suicide Squad, not just Suicide Squad. Because, it makes a very big difference if you put the in the title of your movies. But yeah, so I just saw the 2021 Suicide Squad, and of course I saw the 2017 version as well. 2017, 16, can't remember when it was. So there's going to be a whole lot of comparisons, or maybe a few. But anyway, what do I think of it? I think it's entertaining enough. And I will leave the spoilers for the end. There's only one real spoiler thing that I have to mention, and one of them is a con, actually. It's a con in my book, at least, but there are only really two cons that I can mention about this movie overall. Is one, it served a good portion of the time as nothing but gore porn, almost. There were lots of moments. Now, obviously, it was rated R, and I saw some of the restricted trailers. One of them in particular of where that shark man, whatever the heck that guy's name was, when he rips the dude in half. So I guess I should have known a little bit as to what I was getting into. But nonetheless, I thought that there were some moments of when that it was all really? Was that really necessary? It just served as gore porn, and I guess this could be a second con, but it kind of ties into the whole gore porn thing. But there wasn't any really stick with you outstanding morals or anything to be taught. I mean, what am I talking about? It's a Suicide Squad. What do you really expect to get out of it? I will say that there was an attempt with the father-daughter relationship that they were essentially just repeating in the last Suicide Squad between Will Smith's character Deadshot and his daughter. But this time, instead of Deadshot, it's Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba. And I gotta say, I like Idris Elba's character a bit better than Will Smith's character. Not to say that Will Smith's character, Deadshot, in the last one was bad. It's just I found Idris Elba to be a little bit more preferable. He was serious enough to be really investable for that macho man, bravado sort of character, more so than Will Smith. But at the same time, there were times where that he sort of broke down as far as his toughness goes, to where that he seemed human enough. He has a fear of rats, funnily enough, which that's not a big spoiler right there that I'm mentioning. But nonetheless, there's also a few other moments, like a moment here and there with his daughter. But yeah, I guess segueing already into pros. But pros being that most of the action was fun to watch. Now, it kind of does tie into the whole gore porn con, but it was flashy enough and fun enough to watch, and the banter between all the characters, that was pretty fun too. It was pretty quippy and funny, and I laughed a whole lot throughout this movie, a little bit more than I intended to. I especially liked it of when that peacekeeper... Well, okay, no, I'm not gonna spoil that line, because even though it isn't really a storyline sort of line, a piece of dialogue that is really important to the story, it's still funny when you first hear it. But there's one particular line that Peacekeeper says that just made me bust the gut, and it's towards the beginning of the movie. But nonetheless, it was fun to listen to the characters all interact with each other. They were rather diverse in their interactions and so forth, and the movie was very unpredictable. I'm not going to get into the unpredictability of it right now, but that's another strong suit with this movie. It was pretty unpredictable as to what could be expected of what was going to happen next. You had no idea what character was going to survive, or which character was not going to survive. I mean, it's kind of obvious from right off the bat that Harley Quinn was ultimately going to survive, as Shea Frillo's Productions also pointed that out. But nonetheless, everyone else, you did not know who was going to survive or not, which that was, again, a pretty good strong suit with this guy, with this movie. There's not really a character that I outright hated. I mean, the one black agent lady who played, I cannot remember her name. I can't even remember the actress's name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But nonetheless, the stone cold-hearted agent lady who was in control of the Suicide Squad in the first one, she reprises her role in this one as well. Like, she was pretty detestable, but she was a kind of detestable that was serviceable to the movie. It wasn't like she was needlessly detestable. Like, she was detestable for a reason, for the storyline of this movie. And aside from that, there wasn't really a dislikable character throughout all this. Even when they had some of their scummy moments, it did not completely outweigh some of the funner or more interesting parts of their character. Not gonna mention the spoilers right there, but another strong thing about this movie is that it is a complete and utter reboot. It completely ignores the Suicide Squad from 2017. Completely. And you can tell by the very beginning that it was going to do that. Like Captain Boomerang, for example, completely recasted. So that was the first sign from the get-go that, hey, this is a totally new movie right here. Ignore that last one that was made by whatever the director's name is. This James Gunn version, this is the true version that we're going to utilize for the DCEU and whatnot. So yeah, what else was, I think that's pretty much it as far as non-spoiler related pros goes. But I guess getting into the spoiler material. So here's a con that is a spoiler right here. It's like in the first half of the movie, so it isn't that big of a reveal. In fact, it's supposed to play off as a kind of a joke, but there's this one camp that the Suicide Squad, they go through and they just start mauling down goons. Easily. With very little effort. In fact, there's, throughout it all, Bloodsport and Peacekeeper, they're just competing with each other with their bravado and whatnot. It was entertaining to watch, that was. But what kind of sucked me out of it was, by the end of that fight scene, action scene, if you can even call it that, was that it turned out that they were actually the Allies. Now, I guess I cannot completely blame the Suicide Squad for this. It was more the agent lady who told them that, hey, you can trust nobody on the island. Kill on sight. She said that line right before that scene played out. But as soon as that scene was revealed that all the guys that they killed was actually the good guys, was part of the resistance, the Malto Cortez, if that's the name of the island, resistance, who were trying to throw a coup against the dictatorial current government within the movie. So I just thought to myself, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. I'm not laughing right now, movie. I don't like that. But it wasn't too significant with the storyline. It was played off as a gag, and it just wasn't my taste. I mean, if you got a kick out of it, well, I think you're kind of sadistic, but nonetheless, whatever, bro. What's another spoiler thing? I gotta say, speaking of unpredictability, and a lot of the characters that they showed at the beginning of the movie, they end up dying. Like Michael Rooker had an appearance in this movie, funnily enough, which makes me wonder, is Michael Rooker like a friend of James Gunn or something? Because he played as Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and now he's playing this long-haired old hippie dude that likes to play with his rubber ball, as he is first doing when we're opening up with the movie. And once we get through the beginning, he ultimately dies. He tries to go AWOL, and ultimately Agent Lady, whatever her name is again, she blows up his head. It blows up the tracking device that was inserted in his head. And what's another character? Captain Boomerang dies, and so does the Javelin guy that Harley Quinn, for some reason, has a brief crush on, almost. And yeah, just the first team that they sent in, they all pretty much die, except for Harley Quinn, who was with that first team. And again, spoiler material here, Weasel doesn't really die. He drowns and is unconscious for a long time, but he ultimately and eventually does wake up out of it. So yeah, it's whatever. That's services to the unpredictability of this movie right here that made it a whole lot more interesting to watch. Another part about the predictability is that going throughout the movie, you thought that John Cena's character, Peacekeeper, was going to be some crazy, but ultimately good guy, or good-ish guy. I mean, these guys, they aren't really good guys, they're more of anti-heroes. Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, and even the Shark Man. Ratcatcher was probably the only... honestly, Ratcatcher probably was the only truly virtuous character here. She was just a victim that was caught up in the system. And she was a good character. I really liked Colonel Flag. Colonel Flag was pretty virtuous. Like, as soon as it was revealed that behind Project Starfish is one of the big projects that the agent lady is sending the Suicide Squad to try and cover up, make sure that it doesn't get out to the public, so as to make sure that the American government does not look bad, because the American government, spoiler alert again, is behind Project Starfish. You know, the project that was supposed to be developing and controlling the giant starfish that you see in the trailers and whatnot. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Ultimately, as soon as Colonel Flag, he finds out that, hey, our government was behind this fucked up psychotic experiment, he knocked out of it and he decided that this needed to be exposed, which gone showing some virtue in him. And ultimately, Peacekeeper actually is in alliance with the agent lady and whatever psychotic shitbags within the government that were behind Project Starfish. He was allying up with them. He was hired or whatever to make sure that it was covered up, that Project Starfish was covered up. So yeah, Peacekeeper, bad guy. Colonel Flag, he ultimately does show his true virtuous colors, and he dies for the cause of making sure that this information gets out. And it ultimately doesn't get out, but unfortunately they prevented they did not release the information, the rest of the Suicide Squad that was still alive by the end of the movie, mostly because they wanted their freedom for one thing, and they saved the island, another reason. I don't know. Maybe there was like more of a point to be dissected with the ending of the Suicide Squad movie. But that's a conversation for another time. I'm already getting too long with this movie review. But yeah, again, and I have to say that Ratcatcher probably was ultimately she was the most morally upstanding character. But I do kind of like Bloodsport's character better, played by Idris Elba, because of his man's man sort of character, even though he was a bit of a criminal and whatnot. And Colonel Flag was pretty good. Even the polka dot dude, he was pretty empathizable, might I put it that way. He was a bit psycho himself, but he was pretty empathizable. Harley Quinn was just plain old Harley Quinn. I mean, it's what you expect from Harley Quinn, so there's nothing that exciting with her. She's just fun to watch on camera and interact with the other characters. Her by herself is not really that entertaining to watch. She's more fun when she's interacting with other characters, but that's just my opinion. But nonetheless, how do I rank this movie? Probably 8 out of 10. 7 or an 8 out of 10. I cannot decide between the two of those, but the biggest reasons why I rank it like that is because honestly, the movie kind of turned me off with the whole gore porn aspect of it that it was almost looking like, and also because of them ultimately killing off a whole bunch of the rebels in that camp. Even though that was by accident, still, all the same. But go check this movie out if you are just if you're an adult. I recommend not taking it to your kid to see it, which funnily enough, there was a theater. In the theater, there was some kids that were brought in for it. And I was like, person, why are you bringing your kid to watch this? This is fucked up. I would not send my kid to watch this at all, because, like I said, there is no upstanding morals to be taught in this movie. And I was wondering for a while of what Sylvester Stallone's role was when his name popped up in the credits of who was acting in this. And I should have known right off the bat. He plays as the Shark Man, obviously. His voice really fit very well as that character. But nonetheless, I've rambled too much. Go ahead and check out this movie if you want to. It's a bit of a fun ride, but don't expect much as far as virtues or anything truly substantive with the movie. But I am Zach of Dark Hunt Entertainment. Y'all have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.